Each and every parent this afternoon from both of our campuses, East Grand Preparatory and the Buckner Preparatory campuses. My name is Leonard Brannon. I'm the co-founder, CEO, and superintendent of Cityscape Schools. Over the last few weeks, we have been coming to you every Wednesday for our parent town hall meetings, both in English and Spanish on Facebook Live and our new YouTube channel. I know that COVID-19 has touched all of our lives, affected us all, your families, our employees. Our team has literally been spending hundreds of hours trying to ensure that this school year gets kicked off without any problems, that it can be safe for both the children and also for our employees. And so, as y'all know by this point, we have now going to be starting school on September the 8th, one day after Labor Day. All of us are having to learn how to be flexible and resilient and very careful in this time that we are living. Your kids, your family, and all the team here at Cityscape Schools are doing everything we can to make sure that we keep your children safe and also we keep our employees safe. And I really want to encourage you to continue to do everything you can at home and everywhere else to continue to wear your mask, social distance, wash your hands frequently, which we can continue to bring this COVID infection or this pandemic down. Now, we've had to change our plans several times since we first started coming to you over these last few weeks because of the guidance that we've got from the Texas Education Agency, the governor, and just recently last week from the Dallas County Health and Human Services Department. I really do appreciate your patience during this time as we've had to make these changes. I also appreciate the grace that you have extended to us and our staff. But I think it's also important that you extend yourself some grace, and we extend grace to each other because this is not an easy time. And there's no magic pill or no magic solution that's going to make this all go away. We're just going to have to walk through it day by day. This school year is like none other, and all of us are going to have to work together to make it a success. Now, I know that our team is ready for the new school year. We are right now training all of our teachers and our staff, making sure that they're ready for school to begin on September the 8th. Our teachers are mastering and working and being taught everything they need to know how to work and do their teaching in our at-home virtual instruction model. Our operations department has also been working overtime, literally trying to make sure we get all the PPEs, the masks, the face shields, hand sanitizer, the acrylic plexiglass partitions that we are putting on all the students' desks and tables. We also are developing new screening and safety procedures, which are now in place to make sure no one enters this building either with a fever or with any symptoms of COVID-19. Now, as many of you may already know, we announced toward the end of last week, after we got the guidance from the Dallas County Health Department, that we were only going to be offering on September the 8th, the first day of school, we'll only be offering at-home virtual 2.0 instruction. There will not be any face-to-face instruction to begin the new school year. I know for some of you that were really counting on bringing your children here, that is really a disappointment. But as I shared last week, I want to take a few more minutes and share some of the things that we received depending from the Dallas County Health Department. There's not going to be any face-to-face instruction because of what they've given us at this point. And we have another afternoon meeting this afternoon with the Dallas County Health Department and with the county judge, Jenkins, and also the medical director of the Dallas Health Department. And I believe that they're going to continue to keep us informed, and we will turn right back around, and if anything changes, we will update you again next week when we come to you on Wednesday at 2 o'clock for our English version and also at 3 o'clock for our Spanish version of this town hall meeting for all of our parents. Many of you know last week that we got some guidance from the Dallas County Health and Human Services Department. I'd like to take the opportunity just to go over some of the areas of guidance that they gave us. And this is some of the things that they said. They say, we have examined the various activities and factors that may contribute to the spread of infection and increased risk across the wide spectrum of daily learning, extracurricular activities, sports activities in which students participate. We've also examined the various environments in which children learn. They play, where they eat, engage in fine arts activities, and participate in sports, as these environments pertain to the relative risk of spreading of the infection, increasing the prevalence of the coronavirus. They go on to say that we have reviewed sophisticated modeling approaches from academic and public health institutions in order to better understand the community prevalence of the virus, the rate of the propagation of the virus in the community, and the number of infections resulting in hospitalizations and ICU stays. And they're also monitoring daily the capacity of the hospitals and ICUs. The known numbers of the positive tests within the community, realizing that the true number of cases is likely much more than what they've been reporting. And based on all of these sources of data, they have concluded that the current high level of spread of infection within the Dallas County area, we recommend schools offer virtual learning only at this time. And then they go on to say that they will provide us more standards, more guidelines, and recommended numbers and guidance for school districts to open safely when the infection rate begins to go down further. Now, research, they say, over the last couple of months or so, they found out that so far in the United States, there have been over 100,000 children with infections. And what was really problematic is the last couple of weeks of July, there was 100,000 alone in the last 2 weeks of July. And we know that children do get sick with the virus, although typically less than adults, both in numbers and severity. But adolescents in particular appear to transmit the virus at the same levels that adults in the community do. So the members of the committee are aware of the recent flattening of the curve, of the propagation and infection rates in Dallas County and the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and they're very glad about that trend, but they say it's still not enough to open up schools face-to-face. And with all the things that I've just read to you, if you go on the Dallas County's website, the health department's website, you'll see that the risk level today is still in the red zone, which means this: stay home and stay safe. So I just want to encourage you, for all the community, to do everything you possibly can to continue to social distance, wear your mask, wash hands frequently, because I believe that is really causing this downward trend we're seeing. And hopefully we'll see it go down enough so that we can have all of your children back in our schools. We cannot wait for that day to happen. So I also want to remind you that we have two guides that are very, very important. This one here is the Global Learning Community Guide. This guide is created just for you so that you can see some of the things that we will be doing when we do open up school. You'll also see the two different teaching methods that we'll be using, either face-to-face or at-home virtual learning. Now, right now, we're not doing face-to-face, but it still is in here because our expectation is one day, hopefully soon, we will have face-to-face instruction. So you can go directly to this online right now and get that. Also, we have the Reopening School Employee Guide. This Reopening School Employee Guide is really designed for our employees. But I think it's important for you as a parent to see, what are we telling our employees? What are we expecting from them? How are we going to make sure they're safe? And what are all the different things we're going to do to make sure that we do not have a COVID outbreak in either one of our schools? And so this is really critical for you. You can actually go in the chat box right now. They'll be putting up a link so that you will be able to get to both of these guides, COVID guides, so that you'll be able to read them if you've not yet looked at them. Also, there is a parent F&Q, which is online, and we have well over 60 questions, both in Spanish and English, with all the answers of many of the things that you've been asking over the last several weeks. We recently updated that over the last few days, so it'll show that we're only doing face-to-face instruction right now, but many of the questions that you asked still apply. And if you want to look at that and get a fresh version of that FAQ, you can do that by going online to our website, or you can look on the chat box right now. They'll be putting a link so that you can find that. Now, I know that many of you got questions. You know, I think it was last Thursday, we came to you and announced that we were not going to do face-to-face instruction based upon the Dallas County Health Department's guidelines. And then that was really just an informational thing for us to give you the information so you could begin to prepare and get ready for the new school year. And so today we want to open up to you. So if you've got questions, you got some concerns, anything, we want this to be an open dialogue between you and our families. So you can go onto the Facebook chat line, or you can go into the YouTube channel of ours and go to the chat box and also ask questions. And so we just want to open it up to our families and to our moms and our dads, wherever you're at, so that you can talk to us and we can talk back to you.
We have two questions. How will East Grand work with parents who are employed and cannot be with our kids to log in?
If you want to start that off, they're not there.
Okay, so the question is, how are East Grand employees?
No, East Grand how will the school work with parents who are employed and cannot be with their kids to log in?
Oh, okay. And so very important that you connect us to the caregiver. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're connected to the caregiver of your child, and you would need to provide permission to the teachers. So the very first thing is for you to have that contact with teachers. And Meet the Teacher is coming up next week. Make sure you attend, and you inform the teacher of any situation that would prevent that, for you to be able to log in every morning. So we need to know exactly your situation, have an introduction to your caregiver, and then we will try to work with them the best possible to help them instruct the child or give support to the child so they can log in every morning.
Yeah, let me just piggyback on that a little bit, if you don't mind, Ms. Rojas. We understand for our parents that are working, this is really going to be a challenge, and we know it's going to be difficult. I know that many of you last spring, when all of a sudden we all went home thinking we might come back in a couple of weeks, and now it's been, 5-6 months, and here we are again in the same place. So I know that that is very difficult and very hard on you. And so we're going to do everything we can to make it possible so that even when you come home in the afternoon or in the evenings, you'll be able to work with your children. Maybe if they have questions or they're working on homework or assignments, you can assist them with that. And then teachers will be getting in touch with them the next day, and we'll be finding out what progress they've made. And so it's very critical that you keep your children engaged. But if, like what Ms. Rojas said, if there's any challenges or if you get anything special, just please reach out to the teacher as soon as you know who that is for your child for this new school year.
A follow-up question, and I think that's answered, is what if we don't have a caregiver that can help with technology? But the response is reach out to the teacher to make recommendations.
Yes, very important that connection to the teacher. And so Meet the Teacher, or you can reach out once you know the teacher's name. You'll have access to the email. Phone numbers, teachers will be giving you access to them. And so that communication is key as we get started with a new school year. So be sure to inform them of any situation that you'll have to work around with. But we do highly encourage you and recommend that your child, depending on the age, of course, but they should have some caregiver, right? Someone who's going to be helping them throughout the day and monitoring their work. And teachers will be connecting daily. However, students will have to know how to get into the system. So it may take some practice from your end helping them to get on. And then once they get into a routine, they'll know the expectation. And so that, especially during the first few weeks, we highly recommend that you are in contact with the teachers, be checking in daily as much as you can with them and with your children.
Yeah, we have a couple of ways that you can get in touch with teachers. One in particular is our Parent Square app. For our parents from last year, y'all are very familiar with that app. If you're new to the school this year, Parent Square is a way that you communicate back and forth with your teacher. Your teacher will be giving you that information. We also have a IT support group, and we've added some additional help this year so that you can also have either yourself or through the teacher, reach out to your caretaker or someone to help your child get connected online, because it's our goal to make sure they have all the tools that they need to make sure it will be a success for them.
I just want to add something quickly. For parents who may not have a lot of, practice yet with the tools, that's another area that I want you to know that we're here to help you with. And your point of contact is your campus. And so the teacher, your child's teacher, the administrators are all ready to assist as well and facilitate trainings for you, so you can understand the different tools that'll be utilized, the different supports that for your child. So when they log in, if they're asked to go, let's say, to a reading program, into like Smarty Ants or Achieve 3000, for you to be able to know how to get in there so your child can practice. And for students who are returning, they have already had access to these programs in the past. But we want to make sure that you as a parent also understand the process and know how to access those tools when your child is assigned to them.
Okay, what is the plan for homes without Wi-Fi? We have acquired a number of hotspots that we mentioned we're going to be providing to you. I know there's a survey out there where you can mark, and it was sent, where you can mark if you need internet at home. But we have identified through that survey several families already. If you have circumstances like this, please make sure you reach out to your principal so we can add your family, because they are already in the process of preparing all the computers ready to be deployed the week before school starts. I missed the other live sessions. Does it have to be 8 a.m. to 3 p.m.?
Well, all of our sessions are set up for 2 and 3 p.m. They're also being recorded. They should be online so that you can watch them anytime, either in the evening or in the afternoon or the next day. You can go online and pick up those previous sessions, or for the one today, for instance. You can also you're able to also send those to either your husband, your grandmother, or your mom or dad, whoever might be helping with the care of your children, and they're available for you to view 24 hours a day.
I think they might be referring to the hours of school, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Yes, we have not changed the hours of school, and so it's a regular school day. However, you hear us talk a lot about asynchronous instruction. When we're talking about at-home instruction, we're talking about a variation. So there'll be times of the day when the teacher will communicate directly with the students and provide guided sessions. And then there'll be other times of the day when the students will be assigned activities. It could be reading activities, math, science, social studies. It can be a physical education activity. Well, they'll be doing independent work. And so although it's all day, there'll be some breaks, because we also want to help students in their learning. And we know there's such thing as Zoom fatigue, or if they're constantly, in a process that they're just paying attention to the teacher with the Google Classroom. So we want to give some opportunities for our students to learn authentically, and that's going to entail some independent projects as well.
I want my child to attend face-to-face. If you open face-to-face, is the student going to be with a different teacher, or are they going to keep the teacher that they started with?
At this time, we're hoping to keep students with their teachers. That's our first plan, right? That's what our first intention, to keep students with their teacher that they have been assigned. However, as we are working very diligently with whatever we're learning from the CDC, as Mr. Brandon said, we're meeting with the county judge even today, and we're getting updates. We also meet weekly with a state education agency commissioner, and we get updates from Austin as well. So we want to make sure that we're following guidelines in regards to returning to school face-to-face. Once we get the okay, that we see that it's safe, because the number one goal for us is the safety of our students and the safety of you, the families. And so we're taking all these precautions, as Mr. Brandon shared with you, about the guidebooks that we have. And when we think of coming back to school, we want to be able to ensure you that we're ready. And we know the best approach right now is to provide at-home virtual learning. This is the safest instructional approach for your child at this time. When they return, we hope that by then, yes, they come back directly to their teachers that they've been assigned to, but we may have to adjust. It depends on how many families request face-to-face instruction. We're going to be sending out another survey at that time to learn how many families would like to come face-to-face. In our last survey, we learned that about 70% desired at-home virtual learning and only 30% wanted face-to-face. If that's the case, we're going to have to make adjustments to see how many teachers would be working face-to-face providing that instruction and how many teachers will be providing virtual at-home instruction. So we will work closely with you.
When we pick up the electronic devices, will PPE be given at the same time in anticipation of coming back to class? We can work with the principals on that to make sure at least one mask is given. I know that not everybody's coming, so if you are coming, you probably can get one. Some of you already have devices from last year when you were here, but I'll work with the principals to make sure that we can have that ready for you if you're picking up. Are the Chromebooks loaded with the apps that the students will be using? Yes, all the apps have been loaded, and I know that we had some issues last year, especially because the Chromebooks had all the apps that the students used at school. And we had a very quick turnaround, and then Zoom was available, and it was not an app that we were using here, because obviously we were in the school. But and I know that some of you had issues trying to install Zoom. Those issues were solved, and now every new device that comes out has Zoom installed. So I know that has been a concern before. Okay, I think this is a follow-up from an earlier question. What if the caregiver does not want to help my child or cannot? Our children will stay with a family member who is Spanish only and can't help with technology.
Again, the most important thing is that we have the connection with you. And if you have a family member that doesn't speak English and your child, let's say, is in a dual language classroom, then they'll be connecting with a teacher. If they're not in a dual language classroom or they're in an English only classroom, then we would need to make sure to have the guidelines given to you, and you would be able to provide the necessary instructions for them to follow and to help your child. And so we want to make sure that we're working closely with you. We have a lot of bilingual staff here too. And so we will make, from our end, the most effective plan so that our students are successful. We want to partner with you and your caregivers. And so it's very important that we have those connections. And as much as possible, I keep saying don't miss Meet the Teacher, but it's very important that you have that first connection with your teachers and learn about the expectations, learn about the program, and also for you to ask those questions and make sure that you connect them with the caregivers who will be with your child.
Another question regarding pre-K. I cannot expect my pre-K child to be able to log in and function on his own. I guess the question is if there's some kind of developmentally appropriate changes for them.
It depends if the child's pre-K4 or
Yes.
pre-K3.
Pre-K4.
Pre-K4. And so for pre-K4, it's very important, those first weeks of procedures when teachers show them, and they'll be working with you to show you what time of the day they need to log in, how does it look like when they log in. When we talk about asynchronous instruction, it's the connections. I'm not sure if it's, we're talking about a returning child or new pre-K4 student, but the early childhood department has worked out a plan also for there to be a schedule so that the child can continue the learning at home. We just want to make sure to check in with you to give your student credit for attendance. So that part's going to be very important on your end, making sure there's a daily connection and that your child is completing the assignments so that we can verify and also check their progress. It's very important for us as we roll out the instructional plan We will be taking measurements of our students to see how they're doing with their reading, with their writing, their listening, speaking, their math skills, and so forth. And so every day matters, and we're going to ask you to partner with us so that your student does not miss school. Unless it's absolutely necessary, we're going to ask that you partner with us and they attend every day and they complete the activities given to you all so that your child can progress. And David mentioned age appropriate. We're working on that, very important, that when we think of age appropriate and developmentally appropriate, that has to do also with the activities that are provided for your student so they may be able to complete them. So we don't expect a 4-year-old to be for instance, on a Zoom session for a long time, because they need practice. They need to be able to do the work. So there'll be some guided learning and then independent learning throughout the day.
Yeah, let me add to that, if I could, please. We understand the challenge that all of the parents have. We understand that this is putting a lot of pressure on you and or your caretakers, and there's going to be some bumps in the road, and we're going to have to be flexible, and we're here to give all the support that we possibly can. But I just want you to know that it's really critical that your child continue to learn, continue to attend every day, and get everything they possibly can, because it's very critical that children learn from year to year and that they build upon last year and then begin to add to everything that they learned last year into this year. And every day that goes by is critical to their long-term ability to be successful. And so it's really a challenge. It's a challenge for us, it's a challenge for you. But we're putting things in place to give you all the support. And if you just can't seem to get it to work out, we have the front office. You can call the front offices at both schools. You can ask to talk to the principals or the assistant principals. Anything that you need, we're here to help you for us to get through this together.
During Meet the Teacher Night, will that be an individual or class group meeting?
They will be sending a Zoom link to you so that you can access the live session. And then they will also be following up with Flipgrid. Both principals were here last week. If you were not able to attend, we definitely want you to get the information. And so here's what you need to be attentive to. You will be notified via your teacher, your child's teacher that is, to participate in Meet the Teacher. And it's going to be next Thursday, September the 3rd, from 3 to 6. It depends on the grade level. And so make sure that you pay attention to the notices you'll be receiving so you'll know exactly what is a time for the Zoom meeting with your specific family. And so then teachers will also be using another program, which is Flipgrid, so that let's say that your spouse cannot join you at that time, they can always check in later and they can listen to the presentation from the teacher. And so the very first step I want you to remember always is your first point of contact is the teacher. Your teacher knows the roster that they have, right? And so if your child's name is on the roster, they are in that class. And so your teacher will be the point of contact for you to get information, find out any announcements, any activities for the calendar. And then as Mr. Brandon said, you also have the administrators and the front office staff.
Would you be selling the Spirit shirts and the East Grand mask? We will be doing that. That's going to happen once the students come back, because we don't ship to homes, and we're placing the orders. And usually the way that happens is they send a little form that you can sign if you want them, and they come back and they are handed to the student with their money. So that will happen once the students come back. Now there's a different part of that, which is the uniforms. We've explained, and again in our FAQ page, we have responses to all these. There's the information about the new uniform company that you can go and visit, and if you want to do so, you can buy uniforms and other items there.
But also, let me add to that, Mr. DeQuadle, if I could. The uniforms are there at the Levines and Oak Cliff. I think they're on Jefferson. And that's where our new uniform distributor, our provider is. We listen to many of you. some of your concerns and complaints over the last couple of years or so about our previous vendor. And so we found a lot better solution. They have a lot larger area. They have more stock. And so we hope that'll make it easier for you. Right now, you're not required to purchase new uniforms. If you currently have uniforms, you don't have to replace them with the new uniforms. You can use the current ones that you have. But you're not going to be required to wear any uniforms between now and this first semester until Christmas break. Even if when we do open up for face-to-face instruction, your child can come either in their uniforms or they can come in their street clothes. So we're giving you that option because we know a lot of you, financially, that would be a really difficult. And right now, over these next few weeks, we're not even coming to school. And so we just don't want you to have the added expense unless that's something that you want to have for your children. We would encourage our children to come to school face-to-face in their uniforms, but it's really up to you.
I appreciate the communication and the decision. If the electronics need any technical support, is there an IT number we can call? We don't have a phone number for support, but we do have an email address, and I'm going to ask if they can put the support address for IT in there in the I think we use one last year for support. Also, as Mr. Brannon mentioned, we're getting more staff to help on IT, and we know that everybody will be using a computer now. And I'm sure that if we receive an enormous amount of support requests, we can probably accommodate for more help. Why can't you all do a parent meeting to help us out to help our children, especially for pre-K? I guess they're asking for parent training.
For parent trainings, yes. So we will be notifying you about parent trainings. We want to make sure that they're grade appropriate also. So depending on your child's grade, and we're going to be rolling out supports both in the fall, especially the beginning, because there's so many new things. And we want to offer to you a continual plan of support. And so stay tuned for more information on that.
Can you all please not give us like 20 pages of work for kids? It's already hard for our children emotionally. I guess this is...
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. We do believe that work should be authentic and it should be purposeful. And even assessments, because the importance with assessments is that we assess to assist. So we'll know where the child is, how are they progressing, and where do we as educators need to monitor and adjust our teaching. So it reflects back to us on what we can do better. And so the idea is not to send huge packets out to you, because we don't want to exhaust you all either. What we want is to make learning fun. We want it to be relevant. And we wanted to provide connections to the real world for our children. So please know that as we're planning forward, we're not trying to just give you work. We want it to be purposeful, meaningful, and we want it to be continual. So please let us know. We value you as parents. We value your input. And if there's any work that you feel is a little too much for your child, reach out and let us know, because we definitely want to make those adjustments. I also want to add something very important. If your child is receiving services for special education, 504 accommodations, or your child is an English learner and they also receive linguistic accommodations, we're planning forward to ensure that every child at Cityscape receives those accommodations as needed.
I have a correction about the support for IT. The first point of contact is the teacher, and the way that it has been worked is if the teacher is not able to help the student or the parent, they will connect internally to support. We're putting a little note, a piece of paper, when you come pick up your bag with a Chromebook with that information also. So all the instructions will be there. If the turnaround time is longer than expected, will an electronic device be loaned, or are the students expected to use other devices at home? I guess this is...
Yeah, let me just answer that, I believe. We decided early on over the last few months to make this year the year that we provide a device for every student, regardless of their grade level. We are providing from kindergarten through 8th grade, we're providing Chromebooks to every one of our students. And so we're on a 1-to-1 ratio device to student. Also, our 3- and 4-year-olds, pre-K students, will be getting a tablet, which is more developmentally appropriate for them. And so every student will have their own device. And if there's any problems with that device, they need support on that device, then the first contact is with our teachers. And then if that is not, cannot take care of the problem, then the teacher will put you in contact with our IT support.
Regarding meals, breakfast and lunch, will the meals be provided as pickup or will be given some type of card to buy meals in hopes of keeping social distancing? No, these programs are run by the state and the federal government. You will have to pick up your comment and do grab and go like we did in the summer. One change that is happening is you only will receive a meal or meals if your student is enrolled in the school. We can no longer provide meals for anybody else in the community. Right now, our cafeteria staff is in a meeting with the Texas Department of Agriculture. They're getting all the guidelines, the new guidelines, hopefully final guidelines to how are we going to implement this program. We will provide more information about that, but right now we're looking at options for you. For some of you, it might be easier to come once a week and pick up meals for the rest of the week. For some of you, it might be better just come every day. We are working and we are going to be following guidelines to make sure that whatever is your preference, we will be here providing those meals. But again, we will have to make sure that you are a student of Cityscape schools.
Mr. Tecuado, can you give the number of meals that we provided from spring through the summer?
Yes.
An estimate is fine.
Over the summer, we provided more than 30,000 meals to our community, including, of course, families that belong to our school, and also families that live around, and they knew that we were a distribution spot, and they came and they received all that. On addition of that, we have another program where we have been passing out boxes of produce. That is our Food for Thought program, and we have also been providing thousands of dollars worth of fresh produce to our families. And that program will continue all the way to October, I believe.
That's correct, and that's in partnership with the Harvest Project Rescue, and we appreciate these partnerships. They have helped us, and this Food for Thought campaign also includes a literacy campaign that you'll be learning more about in the next few weeks.
If I have to pick up a Chrome tablet on 2 different days, who do I call to pick up both on one date instead of going at 2 different days? Our principals are not here, but last time they spoke onto that, and they said that if you call them, they'll be ready so they can hand out your 2 laptops, assuming that you have 2 students in different grades, and the dates and times might be different. Speaking of that, I have another question down the line asking about the dates. Those dates have been published, and again, I want to ask for our staff to copy that information in the comments, because we have sent information about that, and both schools have established their schedules to pick up equipment in the next weeks.
Yes.
Is it going to be easier to know when they are done with the iStation assessments? I don't know.
The question is it going to be easier to know when they finish the iStation assessments?
Yes.
We have an assessment calendar that we distribute to both campuses. And so the administrators have those assessment calendars, the teachers also. And so when the assessments are released, we give a window, right, an opportunity for these assessments to be completed. So if you are interested in the results or how your child is progressing, please contact your teacher to make sure that you get the latest Lexile levels. That's a very good question. Thank you.
Okay. How report cards are going to work?
The difference this coming year is that we are moving from a 6-week reporting to 9 weeks. That does not, though, limit the progress, right? We want to make sure that we are checking for progress on our students. So at 4 weeks, we will have progress reports, and then at 9 weeks, you will receive the report card. Yeah,
and the report cards will be sent out electronically to each of our parents. We started doing that last spring, and so that will continue.
Can you all make badges so it's easier to log into the Chromebooks for children? Yes, we have used at school for many years what it's called a Clever badge, which has a QR code, which is those little squares with many different squares of different sizes that a computer can read and send you somewhere. We have used them here, and it will be part of the pack of technology you will receive when you pick up your computer. You can use that, put it in front of the camera of the tablet or Chromebook, and it logs your student automatically. Now, I've been told that also if that piece of paper is lost or broken or misplaced, the teachers will also have a digital copy of that can make available for you in case it's lost. How can we help for pre-K to stay focused? Being 3-year-olds, they are all over the place. What will be the best way to manage that?
Well, that's a very good point, and we want to partner with you definitely on all the different strategies that are best in regards to best practices that we know work for different age groups. And so your teachers can work closely with you. The Early Childhood Director is also offering pre-K orientation next week. Don't miss it. It's also been posted, and I'm going to ask for the team to share it once again on the comments for pre-K orientation. We're going to have a session in Spanish and a session in English, and you will be able to ask those type of questions and get feedback, and also learn about supports. What can you do to help your child maximize on the learning, and how can you partner with the teacher to ensure that you reinforce what your child is being taught?
I have a couple more questions about devices. If there's multiple kids in the families, please contact your principal. They're super willing to work with you and make accommodations so you can make just one trip. But it's better if you contact them ahead of time so they can be ready. Otherwise, you will be blocking the line and they will try to look for the appropriate device for your kids. So call ahead of time and they will be ready for you. Will you all continue these virtual meetings once virtual learning starts? I'm sure parents will have more questions or concerns when we get started with virtual.
Yeah, that's really an excellent question and really something I have been thinking about even as we sit here this afternoon. I think it would be to our advantage and to your advantage to continue these, maybe not on a weekly basis, but we'll continue to meet with you because we think this is a wonderful way, because it's really hard because you're not here and we're not where you're at. So this is a great connection for us to continue the dialogue. That way you can continue to ask questions. We'll also make sure that more people with your subject matter, whether it be IT support or other things, that may be available to help answer your questions in these parent town hall meetings as we move forward through the school year.
Those are all the questions.
Okay, Doug. Well, great. Well, I just want to thank everybody again for letting us come in your home and or wherever you're at this afternoon, driving your car. I know sometimes I'm outside working in my yard Sunday, and I was able to listen on my iPhone through my ear pods or whatever they call those things, and I was able actually to attend church on Sunday morning as I did my yard. It was really wonderful. So my grass got nice and green and everything at the same time. So wherever you're at, we want to continue this, and we really appreciate you contacting us. We appreciate you entrusting your children to us, and we're going to continue to do everything we can. And part of that'll is continuing these parent town halls as we move forward through the whole year. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you next week, same time at 2 p.m.